Have you ever visited a place that's just so steeped in history? Where every stone seems to whisper stories from centuries past. The air just feels thick with
Oh,
tradition.
definitely. That feeling is unmistakable.
And then, maybe just a week later, you find yourself somewhere totally different. A gleaming metropolis, all glass and steel, where innovation is just racing ahead, reshaping everything.
Yeah, the contrast can be really jarring.
Or maybe you've seen like a master artisan online, someone whose craft has been passed down for generations, and suddenly they find this huge global audience, unexpected fame through, I don't know, Instagram or Etsy.
Right, that intersection of old and new.
Exactly, that fascinating, sometimes, well, jarring, but always compelling dance between the old and the new. Holding on to what we cherish, but also reaching for what's next, that's really the heart of our deep dive today. We're exploring something that, well, I think every society on Earth grapples with. This really intricate balance between preserving cultural traditions and, embracing modernization.
And it's not just some academic debate, is it?
Not at all. It's a living, breathing challenge. It plays out in communities, economies, personal lives all around the world. From a small village deciding whether to adopt new farming techniques to a whole nation charting its course in the global economy. Yeah, that tension is everywhere.
It really is.
And what's truly captivating here, I think, is how profoundly intertwined our collective identity and our hopes for progress really are. Our sense of self, our history, our unique character as societies. It often feels rooted in our past, right? In the customs, the beliefs handed down.
Yeah, definitely.
Yet there's this undeniable drive for improvement, for better lives, for overcoming challenges. And that propels us towards the future.
So our mission in this deep dive, what are we trying to do?
Well, our mission is really to extract the most crucial insights from a pretty comprehensive look at this topic. We want to help you, the listener, understand the core arguments, the huge benefits each side offers, the very real risks if you neglect either one.
And maybe how a balanced approach could actually work. Exactly, how it isn't just desirable, but maybe essential for, well, human flourishing. We're aiming to go beyond just the surface, to understand not just what these forces are, but why they have such a powerful grip on the human story.
Okay, so let's start by grounding ourselves. Let's look at the past, or maybe the present expressions of the past. Before we jump into the future and all its possibilities, we really need to get why cultural traditions matter so much. Why is there this deep human impulse to preserve them?
Yeah, it speaks to something really fundamental, doesn't it? About how we form societies, how individuals find meaning.
Totally. Hashtag 1.1. Bedrock of identity and cohesion.
Well, at their absolute core, these cultural traditions are the foundational elements. They don't just define a society, they actively, bind its people together.
Right.
They're much more than just historical curiosities or quaint customs. Think of them more like vibrant living arteries. They carry the collective memory, the values, the very essence of a community from one generation to the next. They sustain its lifeblood, really.
Living arteries. I like that image. So when we talk about them being a bedrock, what does that actually mean? Like, how do they function to provide that stability?
Well, the sources we looked at make it really clear. Traditions, whether we're talking big national festivals or small family rituals, maybe unique ways of cooking or specific storytelling methods.
All that stuff.
Yeah, all of it. It contributes to a shared sense of history and belonging. Imagine a community coming together for, say, an annual harvest festival.
Okay.
When people take part in these things, they're not just going through the motions. They are actively, physically, emotionally connecting with the generations that came before them, their grandparents, their great-grandparents, even people whose names are long forgotten.
Wow.
And that shared experience fosters this deep, almost gut-level sense of pride and connection. It's a collective memory that isn't just remembered, it's actively, recreated and reaffirmed right now in the present.
So it makes history feel alive.
Exactly. It makes history a living, breathing force that actually helps prevent society from just fragmenting.
I think most of us can relate to that personally. If you think about a festival you love or maybe a family ritual you grew up with, perhaps the specific way your family celebrates a holiday or that one dish only made on certain occasions, that feeling of being part of something bigger than yourself, something with deep roots, a story that continues through you. That's it, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's a direct connection.
It's not just about what you do, it's the meaning it gives you, that sense of continuity.
Precisely. And it goes beyond just that emotional connection. These traditions are also a crucial conduit. maybe the crucial conduit for passing down fundamental values across generations.
How so?
It's primarily through these shared practices, these repeated stories, these collective actions, that a society instills its ethical framework, its moral compass,
Yeah.
its basic understanding of the world into its young people. It's how kids learn what's important, what's revered, what are the acceptable ways to interact, what defines their community's character. This intergenerational transfer of knowledge, skills, values, it's not just helpful, it's indispensable for society to continue.
Right, because otherwise every generation would have to start from scratch.
Exactly. You'd end up with a really fragmented, incoherent social fabric.
So it's not just dry history lessons from a book, it's lived values, reinforced by doing things together, learning by doing.
Precisely. And this active, lived reinforcement contributes massively to social stability. Think about it. The world often feels like it's spinning faster and faster.
Yeah, definitely.
Change can be overwhelming, disorienting. Cultural traditions offer people a much-needed sense of purpose and continuity. They provide these deep psychological anchors in an ever-changing world.
Anchors, okay?
They help people navigate uncertainty by reminding them of enduring principles, shared identities, connections that don't just disappear. And this psychological comfort is really crucial.
Why?
Because it helps prevent individuals from feeling disconnected from their roots, which is a huge challenge in our rapidly globalizing world where everything can feel so temporary, so transient.
Yeah, I can see that.
Without these strong cultural anchors, societies risk fragmenting. Individuals feel adrift, and that can lead to social unrest, a weakened sense of collective identity.
And our sources actually give a really good real-world example of this in action, right? A specific annual event.
They do. Take Japan's Obon Festival. This isn't just a public holiday, it's a profound, multi-day cultural and spiritual event. Families go back to their ancestral homes, they clean graves, they honor the spirits of their ancestors.
Right.
It explicitly, powerfully reinforces those familial and communal bonds. It's a perfect illustration of how a tradition provides that shared sense of history honoring ancestors. It gives a clear purpose through specific rituals. And it's a tangible way of passing down values like respecting elders, the importance of family, the interconnectedness of life and death.
Generation after generation.
Exactly. And the real insight here, I think, for you listening, is that these festivals aren't just about remembering the past. They're vital, active mechanisms. They recreate and reaffirm community identity right now in the present.
Making history live, like you said.
Yeah, making history a living force that prevents social fragmentation and helps ensure a stable, shared future.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, these traditions are almost like the cultural DNA of a society. Absolutely essential for its unique character, its resilience over the long haul.
That's a great way to put it. Cultural DNA.
They're what make a society distinctly itself. Not just a random collection of people, but a true community with a shared story, a shared purpose, a sense of belonging that goes beyond just individual lives.
It's about more than just remembering the past. It's about building a stable present and a coherent, meaningful future.
Yeah.
Hashtag TagTech 1.2, enriching the global tapestry and economic value.
Okay, so that internal cohesion, that sense of identity, it's undeniably powerful. But the importance of cultural traditions, it doesn't just stop within a society's own borders, does it?
No, not at all.
Our sources highlight they also offer these unique contributions to global diversity and maybe surprisingly to some, generate very real, tangible economic benefits.
Absolutely. It's kind of a win-win, culturally and economically. Beyond their vital internal role, cultural traditions are indispensable for the global tapestry of human civilization.
The global tapestry, explain that a bit.
Well, cultural heritage, and that's a broad category, right? It includes intricate art forms, diverse music genres, rich oral literature, unique ways of cooking.
Festivals, rituals.
Exactly. Ancient festivals, spiritual rites. All of it enriches societies worldwide. It does this by providing unique perspectives, distinctive aesthetics, different approaches to life that distinguish one community from another.
So each culture offers a different lens on the human experience.
Precisely. Different solutions to common problems, different forms of artistic expression, intellectual expression.
So it's about consciously resisting a world that might otherwise become, I don't know, kind of uniform and bland, celebrating difference.
Exactly that. This uniqueness, this vibrant mosaic of human expression, it significantly enhances global cultural diversity. It just makes the world a richer, more vibrant, more interesting place. Imagine if every city looked the same.
Every song sounded identical.
Every story followed the same predictable plot.
Yeah.
The true richness of human experience lies in its infinite variety, and cultural traditions are the primary, most powerful carriers of that variety. They're the guardians of distinct human creativity and knowledge.
And it's not just about, abstract beauty or intellectual appreciation. The sources are really clear that traditions aren't just abstract. They have practical economic and social benefits, stuff that often gets overlooked when we talk about heritage.
You're absolutely right. And one of the most significant, most quantifiable economic benefits comes directly from cultural tourism.
Okay. Tourism.
Yeah, the immense global interest in traditional practices, historical sites, vibrant cultural festivals. It generates significant revenue for countries and regions all over the world.
Like the examples you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. Our sources cite Italy and India as prime examples. Ancient historical sites, architectural marvels, dynamic festivals. They attract millions of visitors annually.
And those visitors spend money.
They do. They're not just passing through. They're spending on hotels, food, transport, local crafts, guided tours, services. It creates jobs, stimulates local economies, provides a sustainable income for communities. It literally transforms cultural preservation into a powerful, self-sustaining economic engine.
That's a huge point. It often gets lost, I think. It's not just preserving something for its own sake, but recognizing it can be a vital, sustainable economic driver.
Mm.
And you mentioned intangible heritage earlier. Could you unpack that a bit? What does that really mean, and why is protecting it so critical, especially for some communities?
Yeah. Intangible heritage basically refers to the practices, expressions, knowledge, and skills that communities recognize as part of their cultural heritage. Stuff that's passed down generation to generation.
So not buildings or objects.
Right? More like traditional crafts, weaving, pottery, oral traditions like epic poems or folklore, performing arts, dance, music, social practices, rituals, festive events, even specialized knowledge about nature or the universe.
Okay. And protecting this is important
As it represents the living, evolving aspects of culture. It's not static.
And why is it so crucial specifically for marginalized communities? What's the unique role it plays there?
Well, our sources really emphasize its role in supporting marginalized communities. Often, these communities are the main bearers of unique cultural practices and languages that are at serious risk of disappearing, under the pressures of globalization and modernization.
Right.
So by actively protecting and promoting their traditional crafts, their distinct languages, their ancestral songs, their unique ways of storytelling, we ensure their voices are not just heard, but valued, amplified, even in this increasingly globalized world.
So it gives them a platform and maybe a livelihood.
Exactly. A platform for expression, a means of livelihood, and a powerful way to preserve their distinct identity against these homogenizing forces. It's about empowering them to maintain their distinctiveness, to celebrate it, and to contribute their unique perspectives to the global conversation, which ultimately enriches everyone.
This raises a really important question for us to think about. What's the true long-term cost if we just let these distinctive cultural threads fray and eventually disappear?
Yeah.
It's not just losing a piece of history, is it? It's about future economic and social vibrancy, too. The sources are pretty explicit. Critics of unchecked modernization argue that neglecting traditions risks severe cultural erosion, leading to increasingly homogenized societies.
And this erosion isn't just an aesthetic loss or a historical one, though it's profound enough on those terms. It means unique identities are lost. Distinct ways of life just fade away.
And with them,
potentially invaluable knowledge systems, diverse perspectives, centuries of accumulated wisdom gone. And this loss can seriously weaken social bonds. Individuals might feel increasingly disconnected from their roots, from their shared narrative, from the traditions that once gave them a clear framework for life.
So when people lose that collective sense of history and belonging, that cultural DNA we talked about.
Yeah, it can result in a diminished sense of community, a rise in what sociologists call anomie, a sense of normlessness, a feeling of personal rootlessness. It's a profound loss that affects both individuals and the collective. It impacts mental well-being, social cohesion, even a society's ability to innovate by drawing from its own unique past.
Okay, so we've really explored the vital importance of our roots, our traditions. They're the anchors, the bedrock of identity. But of course, history doesn't stand still. Neither do societies. There's this equally powerful, often irresistible drive towards tomorrow. And that's where modernization comes in. Many argue it's not just appealing, it's an absolute necessity for survival, for growth, for improving human lives right now. Hashtag tech 2.1, fueling advancement and improving lives.
Precisely. Modernization is, well, utterly crucial for tackling the complex challenges we face today, and very tangibly for lifting living standards for millions, maybe billions of people across the globe.
It's the engine of progress.
You could say that. It's the force that propels societies forward, tackling everything from disease to poverty.
And what are the key forces driving this engine? What fuels this push towards modernization?
Our sources point to a powerful trio, really. Technological advancements, strong economic development, and increasing global integration.
Okay. Tech, economy, global connection.
Yeah, those three forces work together, synergistically, pushing societies to innovate, adapt, connect in ways we couldn't even imagine before. And this isn't just about the latest smartphone.
No, it's bigger than that.
Much bigger. It signifies fundamental, often structural shifts. How societies are organized, how resources are distributed, how individuals live day to day. Think about the spread of electricity or the invention of the internet or the rise of global trade. Massive transformative forces.
So it really opens up vast new opportunities then, beyond just convenience.
Oh, tremendous opportunities,
Ah.
affecting every aspect of life. Modernization creates huge new avenues for education, unprecedented access to knowledge, skills that were once just for the elite.
Right.
It revolutionizes healthcare, new treatments, preventative measures, vastly improved public health infrastructure, which demonstrably extends lifespans and dramatically improves quality of life.
And connectivity, you mentioned.
Connectivity is completely transformed, breaking down geographical barriers, allowing instant communication, providing access to a universe of information from pretty much anywhere. It democratizes access to resources and ideas in a really powerful way.
And we can see those tangible effects pretty clearly in how our cities and infrastructure develop, can't we?
Indeed. Modernization inevitably leads to substantial, tangible improvements in infrastructure. The sources specifically point out how modernization in cities, and increasingly in rural areas too, has led to vastly improved infrastructure. Things like high-speed internet networks.
Essential now.
Absolutely essential. And advanced transportation systems, modern roads, efficient public transit, high-speed rail. These aren't just nice to have. They're foundational for modern life and economic activity.
How so?
Well, high-speed internet is critical for education, business, civic life, global communication. Efficient transport lets people and goods move quickly, cheaply, boosting productivity. All of this enables societies to compete effectively in the global economy. Without modern infrastructure, a nation really risks being left behind in trade, innovation, overall human development.
What's really fascinating here is how directly modernization translates into these concrete improvements. From how easily we talk across continents to how quickly we travel or ship goods. It's not just big, abstract concepts. It's making daily life easier, safer, more productive for millions, fundamentally changing their lived experience.
And it's not just about these tech or economic shifts, as vital as they are. Modernization also often involves a profound evolution in societal values and norms.
Okay, values too. How?
Well, the sources note that embracing modern values, things like gender equality, universal human rights, or scientific inquiry, actively challenges and, in many cases, helps dismantle outdated practices that might hinder social progress and human potential.
That's a critical distinction. So it's not just better gadgets, it's evolving our understanding of fairness, justice, truth, kind of reevaluating our social contract.
In a way, yes. It can be about that.
Can you give us some specific examples, maybe some challenging ones, of these outdated practices modernization tries to address?
Certainly. The sources specifically mention things like deeply entrenched caste-based discrimination, which historically limited opportunities and dignity for huge parts of a population. Or widespread adherence to certain superstitious beliefs that, from a modern evidence-based view, might divert resources away from effective scientific solutions for public health or farming, for instance.
Okay.
These are systems or ways of thinking that, from many modern perspectives, are seen as unjust, inequitable, or simply irrational. They hold back segments of the population or devote effort from evidence-based solutions. Modernization, in this light, offers a path to dismantle those barriers, to promote a more equitable, rational, meritocratic society where your potential isn't limited by who you were born as, or your gender, or unproven beliefs, but by your ability and effort.
So fostering an environment where fairness and justice have a better chance.
That's the idea, where they increasingly prevail.
And we've seen the dramatic real-world impact of this on a massive scale, haven't we?
Absolutely. The transformative potential is profoundly clear in rapidly developing nations like China. Over the past few decades, modernization has been instrumental in lifting literally hundreds of millions of people out of extreme poverty.
Hundreds of millions, that's staggering.
It is. And it's not just a statistic. It represents better access to food, shelter, education, healthcare for vast populations. It's a powerful testament to how economic growth, tech advancement, and a shift towards more modern governance can fundamentally change a whole society's trajectory, offering unprecedented opportunities for social mobility, individual empowerment, and a significantly better quality of life for a huge number of people.
Yeah.
Hashtag 2.2, adapting to a globalized world and overcoming stagnation.
Okay, so modernization is clearly about tangible improvements, evolving values, but it also seems critical just for survival in our interconnected world, right? It's about staying nimble, staying relevant, avoiding getting, well, stuck.
Precisely. Modernization fosters a crucial quality, adaptability, and that's absolutely vital in a rapidly globalizing world. The international scene economically, technologically, culturally, it's constantly shifting.
It's changing.
Always. Societies that don't adapt risk being marginalized, or worse, just left behind entirely. Modernization helps societies avoid getting trapped by outdated systems that simply can't cope with 21st century challenges, whether they're environmental, economic, or social.
And it often feels like younger generations are kind of naturally leading this charge, instinctively driving it forward.
That's a really key observation, and it's highlighted in our sources. Younger generations, just by virtue of growing up with pervasive technology, increased opportunities for travel, cross-cultural exchange.
They see more of the world.
Exactly. They're exposed to an incredibly diverse range of ideas, lifestyles, ways of solving problems from all over the globe. And this exposure makes them inherently more inclined to prioritize innovation over just rigidly sticking to traditional ways.
So they see different possibilities.
They grow up with global perspectives, seeing different ways of life, new solutions to old problems. This experience often makes them natural agents of change. They push for new solutions, question the status quo, challenge established norms. They're less bound by history, more open to new possibilities, often impatient with what they see as the inefficiencies of the past.
So let's flip that for a second. What happens if there's too much emphasis on tradition? If preservation becomes this absolute, unyielding thing?
Well, critics of, let's say, uncritical cultural preservation argue quite strongly that an overemphasis on traditions, especially without evaluating them critically, can indeed stifle progress.
How so?
If a society becomes too rigid, too resistant to any kind of innovation, it risks getting trapped in outdated systems that actively resist necessary change. This can show up in lots of bad ways. Persistent economic stagnation because they won't adopt modern business practices, or an inability to effectively tackle critical social issues like public health crises or environmental degradation, simply because the traditional solutions aren't adequate anymore. It essentially builds a wall against improvement.
Can you give us a concrete example of that downside? The source had a very stark one about a basic human need.
Yes, a particularly powerful illustration. It highlights a critical contrast. Clinging rigidly to traditional agricultural methods when the climate is rapidly changing, when weather patterns are altered, that might seriously undermine a nation's food security.
Okay, sticking to old farming ways despite climate change.
Right. If communities insist on using farming techniques that just aren't viable anymore with unpredictable weather, or that are way less efficient than modern alternatives, they could face severe food shortages, even famine.
And the alternative?
The alternative, modernization in agriculture, offers solutions. Drought-resistant crops, precision farming, advanced irrigation, techniques that can enhance sustainability, significantly boost yields, and ensure a consistent food supply even as the environment shifts. It's a clear case where an outdated traditional approach, applied rigidly, becomes not just inefficient, but actively harmful to human well-being. Survival, even.
That's a really compelling argument for the need for change. But like any powerful force, there has to be a potential dark side too, right? What are the risks if modernization just runs rampant with no cultural thought?
Absolutely. Progress and adaptability are vital, yes. But a headlong, uncritical rush towards modernization without any cultural sensitivity can create new, profound problems for society's well-being.
Such as?
Unchecked modernization risks alienating individuals on a massive scale. Rapid, overwhelming change, especially if it just dismisses existing cultural values and practices, can erode those very cultural anchors we talked about earlier, those sources of identity and belonging.
Right, the things that give stability.
Exactly. And this can leave societies vulnerable to severe social fragmentation, widespread feelings of displacement, a profound loss of collective and individual identity. People can end up feeling like strangers in their own land, their familiar world just dissolving around them.
So in that scenario, you might gain, I don't know, economic wealth or cool technology, but you risk losing the very fabric of who you are, where you belong. That's a trade-off with a huge human cost.
Precisely. If people no longer recognize their community or feel a strong connection to their heritage or understand their place in a larger cultural story, it can lead to widespread alienation, social unrest, a general sense of unease or spiritual emptiness.
A vacuum,
Yeah,
almost.
exactly. We saw earlier how traditions provide purpose, continuity. If modernization just sweeps all that away without offering new, meaningful anchors or a new coherent narrative, it can leave this vacuum that's incredibly hard to fill, potentially leading to widespread psychological distress, instability. It just underscores the delicate balance needed. Progress for progress's sake, ignoring the human and cultural cost can be deeply destructive.
Okay, so we've thoroughly explored these two incredibly powerful forces, almost like gravitational pulls pulling societies in different directions. The deep need to preserve our cultural roots and the equally compelling drive to embrace tomorrow through modernization.
Two strong currents.
Both have compelling arguments, offer amazing benefits, and carry significant risks if you ignore one or pursue only one. But what if? What if we don't actually have to choose between them? What if there's a more integrated way? A way to get the best of both worlds?
That's exactly where this deep dive naturally leads us. In my view, and it's articulated very clearly in the sources, the most effective, the most resilient, and ultimately the most human-centered strategy is an integrated approach, one that profoundly respects cultural preservation while at the same time embracing modern advancements.
So achieving synergy, not just compromise.
Exactly. It's about achieving a dynamic synthesis, not making painful sacrifices of one for the other.
This sounds like the ideal societal progress without losing that fundamental sense of who we are, without eroding our distinct identity. How does that actually work in practice?
It absolutely is the ideal, and it manifests in a society that consciously designs its path forward. This balanced approach ensures societal progress while vigorously maintaining identity. It explicitly recognizes that a healthy, resilient society needs both things: its historical roots for stability, meaning cohesion, and its inherent capacity for innovation and adaptation, for growth, for solving problems, for future viability. It's not about freezing things in time or rigid adherence. It allows societies to stay firmly rooted in their heritage, drawing strength and character from the past while dynamically adapting to today's needs and global challenges.
So it's evolution, reinterpretation, integration, not abandonment.
Precisely. It isn't tradition versus modernity. It's tradition and modernity working together.
But how does that work philosophically? Does it mean traditions themselves have to change?
Yes, that's key. It suggests tradition should never be seen as static, unchanging objects frozen in time. They should be seen as dynamic, living elements.
Okay.
They need to be valued deeply, understood for their core meaning, and then intelligently adapted to fit modern contexts. This might mean finding new ways to celebrate an ancient festival using technology, maybe?
Or applying traditional craft techniques to contemporary designs.
Exactly. Or using modern tech to document and share oral histories. The essence of the tradition remains, but its form or application can evolve. The goal is to ensure societies stay dynamic, yet deeply rooted, continuously drawing strength and unique character from their past while confidently stepping into the future, equipped for what it demands.
That's a powerful framework.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for us? It means we don't necessarily have to choose. And our sources give us a fantastic real-world example of how a nation can actually do this. Walk both paths. A country often mentioned for its unique approach.
Indeed. The Himalayan nation of Bhutan. It serves as a prime, widely studied example. It's a country that has, quite remarkably, blended deep-seated tradition with careful, selective modernity.
How do they do that?
By actively promoting their unique cultural values and rich heritage, alongside meticulously planned sustainable development policies. They famously prioritize what they call gross national happiness, G&H, over purely economic measures like GDP.
Right, G&H.
Which beautifully sums up this whole philosophy. They've introduced modern infrastructure, technology, education, but always with a keen, deliberate eye on how these things integrate with and support their cultural heritage, their spiritual values, their pristine environment.
So they control the pace and type of change.
Very much so. Tourism, for instance, is highly regulated, often with a high daily fee, not to exclude people, but specifically to minimize negative cultural and environmental impacts, to ensure the preservation of their unique way of life.
That's incredible, a real-world testament that this isn't just theory, it's a living model. So it's not about finding some wishy-washy middle ground compromise where both sides lose something. It's about genuine synergy.
Absolutely. Fundamentally, it's not about finding a weak middle ground where both sides give up something essential. It's about a synergistic approach, where the intelligent, purposeful integration of both traditional wisdom and modern innovation creates something stronger, more adaptable, more resilient than either could achieve alone.
Okay.
The aim is for communities, for nations, to honor their heritage, value its wisdom, its beauty, its identity-forming power, while simultaneously embracing the vast opportunities and tools that a globalized world offers. This approach, by fostering this dynamic interplay, cultivates both individual fulfillment.
Because people feel connected to past and future.
Right, and also a profound collective resilience. Because the society is better equipped to navigate challenges, old and new, with a rich toolkit drawn from both tradition and modernity. ###############################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################
balanced, synergistic approach sounds incredibly appealing as a guiding principle. But like you said, execution is everything. How do societies actually do this? What are the practical, concrete strategies they can take to actively weave tradition and modernity together on the ground?
You're right, the how is crucial. Theory needs practice. The sources outline several clear, actionable strategies. First, on the cultural preservation side, dedicated, proactive efforts.
Like what?
Education, making sure heritage is learned. Vibrant, public celebration of cultural festivals, making heritage feel alive, relevant. And robust heritage conservation programs, physically protecting historical sites, artifacts. These are the active cultivation tools that prevent traditions from just fading away.
So, teaching the next generation, celebrating publicly, protecting the physical stuff. Got it.
Exactly. Then, hand in hand with that careful preservation comes the thoughtful embracing of modern advancement.
Thoughtful embracing.
Meaning selectively adopting and intelligently integrating new developments, particularly in areas like technology, scientific research, transparent governance, where they can bring significant, measurable improvements without undermining core cultural integrity or values. It's about smart, intentional, culturally sensitive adoption, not just accepting everything wholesale.
Let's break that down with some examples from the sources. You mentioned education. How does that work as a bridge builder here? What does it look like?
Education is absolutely foundational. In practice, this means developing school curricula that are meticulously designed to teach traditional languages and histories, making sure the rich knowledge, the stories, the linguistic heritage of the past are effectively passed down and cherished.
But not just that.
Critically, no. And this is where the balance is key. This is done while simultaneously equipping students with essential modern skills, advanced digital literacy, critical thinking, global awareness.
Do they get both?
The goal is to create well-rounded individuals, people who have a profound understanding and appreciation of their cultural roots, but who are also fully prepared for the complex demands and opportunities of the modern digital age. Maybe they can code in Python and recite ancient poetry, or perform traditional dances. They embody the best of both worlds.
That dual competency makes them resilient, adaptable.
Precisely.
Okay, that's a powerful vision for education. What about economic support for traditions? We talked about tourism, but are there other ways?
Indeed. Governments especially can play a vital, enabling role here. They can actively support traditional artisans, weavers, potters, jewelers, musicians, you name it, by providing essential infrastructure and, crucially, access to global markets through modern e-commerce platforms. This helps ensure that age-old cultural practices remain not just artistically vibrant, but also economically viable, sustainable in the 21st century.
So a weaver using ancient techniques can sell online to customers anywhere.
Exactly. Imagine that.
Yeah.
They no longer rely just on a limited local market. They can reach discerning customers worldwide with a click. That provides a sustainable income, yes, but it also validates their craft on a global stage. It transforms a local tradition into a valued global commodity in the best sense.
And are there bigger international players involved in fostering this balance? It feels like a global challenge.
Absolutely. The sources highlight the crucial role of global collaboration, international organizations, institutions like UNESCO, the UN Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization.
Right, UNESCO.
They are specifically dedicated to promoting this balance worldwide. They work tirelessly to identify, protect, promote both tangible heritage, like sites, and intangible cultural heritage, like performing arts. And they do this while actively supporting sustainable development initiatives.
So they provide frameworks, funding, expertise.
All of the above. And a global platform. They help nations achieve this delicate equilibrium, recognizing unequivocally that cultural richness and societal progress aren't mutually exclusive. They're mutually reinforcing.
This raises an important question for all of us. How do we ensure these strategies actually get implemented effectively, at scale, respecting the unique local nuances of each community while still using the best global tools and insights?
Yeah.
It really is about active, thoughtful cultivation, isn't it? Not just passive preservation, letting things sit on a shelf.
It absolutely is about active cultivation. And a crucial part of that cultivation is making sure that modernization is genuinely inclusive.
Inclusive how?
It has to consciously respect cultural diversity rather than accidentally or purposefully imposing some uniform, homogenized global culture. The goal isn't to make everyone the same or erase differences. It's to allow diverse cultures to thrive authentically, uniquely, alongside technological progress.
Which required.
Careful policymaking, deep community engagement, a nuanced understanding of local context, local aspirations. And furthermore, it's vital to foster continuous, open dialogue between generations across different communities within a society.
Why is that dialogue so important?
Because that ongoing conversation ensures traditions don't just get preserved rigidly, like museum pieces. It ensures they evolve organically, adapting, reinterpreting their meaning, without being lost entirely. It allows older generations to pass on wisdom and younger generations to bring fresh perspectives, innovative approaches. It keeps traditions relevant, vibrant, alive, adapting naturally rather than being forced into new, maybe ill-fitting molds. It's a continuous, dynamic process of negotiation and creation.
When you lay out these practical strategies, it becomes really clear that this balanced approach isn't just about individual societies finding their own best path. It feels like it has a much broader, maybe even global impact. This is bigger than just one community or country.
That's truly the beauty, I think, and the ultimate promise of this integrated approach. This holistic view strongly suggests that a world where distinct cultures are not just surviving but actively thriving alongside robust technological progress and economic development, that world is inherently more robust, more interesting, and ultimately maybe more peaceful.
So it helps individual societies keep their identity.
Yes, ensuring their unique place in the human story. But our sources indicate it also profoundly enhances global understanding and cooperation.
How does that work? By each society holding on to its unique character, it helps the world understand itself better, fosters empathy, breaks down barriers.
Exactly. When diverse traditions are maintained, celebrated, shared through art, music, literature, ways of life, they contribute to an exponentially richer, more vibrant, more interconnected global community.
Because each culture brings something unique.
Its unique stories, its unique ways of seeing the world, its unique solutions to universal human problems, its unique forms of beauty and wisdom. When these distinct voices aren't just tolerated but actively heard, deeply understood, genuinely respected by others, it dramatically broadens everyone's perspective.
It helps challenge our own assumptions.
Definitely. It helps dismantle ethnocentric views, reduces prejudice, fosters empathy and curiosity across borders.
Right.
Ultimately, it paves the way for a more cooperative, more peaceful global community, one that's better able to tackle shared challenges together more effectively.
This is where it gets really profound for me. Imagine a world where every unique cultural voice doesn't just add to the chorus, but is genuinely listened to, understood, amplified, instead of being drowned out by one dominant tune. That's the incredible promise here. It's about building a collective resilience that goes beyond individual nations, isn't it?
It truly is. This holistic view implies that real collective resilience, our shared ability as humanity to navigate future crises, to innovate, to thrive, comes from respecting both our shared humanity and our unique expressions, meaning the common threads of human experience and aspiration that bind us all, and the rich, diverse cultural traditions that make us distinct. A world with a vibrant mosaic of cultures, each contributing its unique perspectives and wisdom, is inherently better equipped to face global challenges. It can draw on a wider array of ideas, problem-solving approaches, human experiences. It's a compelling vision where progress and identity aren't fighting each other, but are mutually reinforcing partners, creating a stronger, more dynamic, and ultimately more understanding global society for everyone. #TagTag outro.
Wow, what an expansive journey today. We've really plunged into one of humanity's most enduring, dynamic debates. That constant tension between preserving our cultural traditions and embracing the relentless march of modernization.
A deep dive indeed.
We explored in depth why our traditions are that bedrock of identity and social cohesion, offering that absolutely vital sense of belonging, continuity, shared purpose.
And how, beyond that, they enrich our global tapestry and even offer significant sustainable economic value. We can't forget that practical side.
Absolutely. And then in equal measure, we saw clearly why modernization isn't just desirable, it's essential for progress. It's the engine fueling advancement, dramatically improving living standards through tech innovation, economic development.
And it fosters that critical adaptability we need to thrive in this globalized world, challenging outdated practices, opening up new possibilities along the way. Both forces incredibly powerful, huge benefits, but also real risks if either is neglected or pursued exclusively.
But the most important takeaway, I think, the conclusion distilled from our sources, is that we don't actually have to choose. The key, the truly effective path, lies in that synergistic approach,
Right. Synergy, not just compromise.
where traditions aren't just passively preserved, but actively valued, dynamically adapted, intelligently woven into modern context. It's about find that sweet spot, that dynamic equilibrium.
Where societies can proudly remain both deeply rooted in their heritage and confidently forward-looking, ready for the future.
So what does this all mean for you, listening? As you move through your day, maybe you'll notice these powerful forces at play in your own life, maybe your local community, or just in the news and stories you consume from around the world.
hmm You might see an old tradition being revitalized, reimagined with new technology, or a modern innovation being shaped, maybe softened, by ancient wisdom,
Yeah.
which I think raises a final important question for all of us. As we collectively look to the future, how do we continue to navigate this intricate, beautiful dance, ensuring that progress never comes at the irreversible cost of our cultural soul?
And that our rich heritage always finds new, vibrant ways to thrive and contribute.
Exactly. By consciously balancing these priorities, communities, individuals too, can honor their heritage while embracing the vast opportunities of a globalized world, fostering both profound individual fulfillment and powerful collective resilience. It's a continuous, active process, isn't it? A journey, not a destination. And it's one where every single one of us actually plays a part.